Ready? Come close. Okay. Good morning, everybody. I am thrilled to be here at the center of the Bronx, by the Borough Hall, by Yankee Stadium. This is it if you're coming to the Boogie Down. We are in the center, right?
Jano in the Boogie Down. That's right, Jano.
So I'm Jano Lieber. I'm the acting chair and CEO of the MTA. And I'm thrilled to be here with our team, the leader of our New York City Transit team, Craig Cipriano, but also with my dear friend and partner, Borough President Diaz, and I'm being premature, but I'm going to say it anyway, the next Bronx Borough President, Councilmember Vanessa Gibson. We're also joined by Assemblymember Kenny Burgos. Where's Kenny? Thank you for being here. Assemblymember Michael Benedetto. Where are you, sir?
Right here.
There you go. We're going to also hear from a couple of the advocates, Lynette Wright, who is part of our MTA ad hoc committee from Co-op City. I also want to recognize Bronx Borough Commissioner Lopez, Rod Sanders from the Co-op City Committee. Thank you, sir. Co-op City, if you're going to do anything in the Bronx, right? I learned this from my right on.
See, Boogie Down Bronx.
Boogie Down Bronx, right there.
Right?
But when you're doing something important in the Bronx, you got to talk to Co-op, and we're glad to have your partnership. We got Bradley Bashirs from the PCAC, who is our Permanent Citizens Advisory Committee. They're important partners, and Liam Blank from the Tri-State Transportation Campaign. Liam, are you with us? Right there. Thank you. Tri-State. A lot of the major progressive initiatives on transportation in the region start and are moved forward by Tri-State. So I have to say, I wasn't supposed to come to this event, but I wanted to be here not just because I wanted to honor the borough president today and the incoming borough president, who are great transportation leaders, but also because if you're talking about buses, you got to talk about the Bronx, because because buses are the engine of equity in our city. It is disproportionately seniors and people with disabilities and kids and people going to school and people who live in neighborhoods that don't have perfect proximity to the subway that use the bus. And they depend on the bus to get to school, to get to job opportunities, to get to health care. And buses are the engine of equity. We have to create a better bus system. We have to make sure that people can get on the bus and get somewhere that they're trying to go in a reasonable time frame. So that is why one of the first things that I did when I moved into this new role was to call up New York City DOT and say, let's get started. We're going to double the number of bus lanes. We're going to double the busways. We're going to start to do camera enforcement in a serious way so that buses can move. And I'm sorry, Fresh Direct. I'm sorry, UPS. I'm sorry, FedEx. I know you love to pay the tickets and it's part of your business model, but we're just not going to play that anymore. We're going to make sure that the buses are moving quickly, people can rely on them, and we got to get that done. It is a matter of equity. So we've done that. But today we come together to issue a call to action to our Bronx bus customers. Make your voices heard about the proposed, and it is a proposal, but it is also something we've worked on with Bronx leadership and Bronx advocacy groups. The final plan to reimagine bus service in the borough. This has literally been years in the making, since long before the pandemic. So members of the public are invited to speak at a virtual public meeting on Tuesday, November 9th, about this proposed final Bronx bus network redesign plan, and we want to hear your thoughts. So I'm just going to jump ahead. The ultimate goal here is to deliver a bus system that best serves the riders, and as I said, we need a great bus system for the Bronx to thrive. The Bronx is on the move. Anyone who hasn't noticed this has not been paying attention. The Bronx is moving. There's jobs, there's economic activity, there are great things happening in the Bronx. We have a once-in-the-generation opportunity to give New Yorkers the bus service they need. Buses are better for the environment. gets people out of cars and onto transit, makes the roads less crowded so that paratransit vehicles and buses can move around. So please join us on November 9th to visit the project, and visit the project website to learn more about this incredibly important initiative. So with that, let me turn it over to Craig Cipriano, Acting President of New York City Transit. Craig.
Thank you, Jano. I'd just like, before I say my remarks, to recognize two other people. We have Frank Anacaro, Acting Head of Buses, and Lynette Wright from Co-op City. Thank you very much. So we're all excited to be here to celebrate the relaunch of the implementation of the Bronx Bus Network Redesigned Local Plan. The plan is a critical step towards bringing better, more reliable, and faster bus service to the 635,000 Bronx bus customers. And while that number is pre-pandemic, we are confident these riders are coming back to the system. At the height of the pandemic, the Bronx bus system carried the greatest percentage of pre-pandemic riders because Bronx bus riders were not only essential workers, like our transit heroes, but those folks rely on the bus system for their essential trips to the market and to the doctor. I invite Bronxites to attend our virtual public meeting on Tuesday, November 9th at 6 p.m. This meeting is the culmination of years of public engagement and work with communities across the Bronx and Upper Manhattan. We look forward to hearing from our customers and stakeholders one more time to provide input on this proposed final plan. There have been very few changes of the redesign since the release of the proposed final plan in the fall of 2019. And in case you don't think we're listening, we definitely are. After receiving feedback from the public, community, and elected officials, and reassessing existing conditions, we determined that the BX28 and BX34 route alignments would go back to the original way they were.
Yes, thank you. Public hearing.
Over the past 2 months, the Bronx Bus Network Redesign team has presented our plans to a joint meeting of the Bronx Borough Road and Borough Service Cabinet, Borough Board, I should say, and Service Cabinet. Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., elected officials, transportation advocates, and interested community boards across the Bronx and Northern Manhattan. I'd like to thank all those participants. This redesign would not have been possible without your engagement, encouragement, and your feedback. And building upon the successful implementation of the Staten Island Express Bus redesign, the Bronx Bus Network redesign aims to simplify the local bus network while enhancing connectivity and building an all-day frequent network of transit for our customers. By improving bus stop spacing and working with our partners at New York City DOT to expand bus priority on our city streets. We're utilizing everything in our toolbox to speed up travel times and get our customers where they need to go fast. So please visit the project microsite, new.mta.info/Bronx Bus Redesign for all the meeting details. We strongly encourage folks to check our website and the bus route profiles to see how this customer community-driven plan will improve bus service for our Bronx bus riders. And again, the goal of the redesign is to shorten travel times and improve the reliability of bus service for our customers. So thank you again to all our partners across the city, colleagues at New York City Transit, and the public for their invaluable feedback and commitment. Thank you there. We look forward to hearing from you on November 9th. And now I'd like to turn it over to Borough President Diaz. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And I know that Jano is over there doing an interview, but I want to say this about Jano. We have become friends, and that friendship has been based on trust. Yes, we're talking about the bus redesign plan, and I want to thank Jano and the whole team. But Jano's been here with us when we've been talking about the 4 Metro North stations, making sure that we get them fully funded. Jano has been here with us when we have looked at elevators that those with physical disabilities need in multiple train stations throughout the borough of the Bronx, redoing train stations. I mean, time and time again, Jano and his whole team, we want to thank you for not behaving the way the MTA in the past and transit has behaved in the past towards the Bronx and towards other neighborhoods, where you make us fully feel like there's a partnership. To my colleagues in government, those that are here today and the many more who are not here today, thank you for being present at all of our meetings. There have been many meetings, We've had a lot of conversation, and it was there that we had an exchange in ideas and disagreements to make sure that the people of the Bronx were better serviced by buses and bus routes. Now, in all of my years as an elected official, one of the most painful things that I hate, I'm gonna use that word, is when people say, we always did it this way. Like, why is this done? We've always done it this way. And people say that even when it doesn't work. When you look at how we, for instance, pick up garbage in the city of New York, when we plow the streets when there's snow, and yes, how we transport the people of the Bronx and throughout the city of New York. It was Jano, Craig, the whole transit team, the DOT. When we look at all of the bus routes and seeing all of the development that has transpired in our borough over the last 10, 15 years, seeing new communities, seeing new residents, the fact that we took a pause and re-examined and reimagined, like Jano said, and redesigned this, and did it in a way where the community was heard. Did it in a way where Assemblyman Burgos wasn't initially pleased with what was happening in the South section of the Bronx. He's my assembly member, and what the constituents were telling him. Or where Co-op City initially had a lot of concerns, especially in the East Bronx where we have transportation deserts, where we don't have that many train lines. And yet, time and time again, almost every single time, when we went to transit, when we went to the MTA, and we said, these are our concerns, they said, we hear you, and they changed it. And so with that said, please participate with this next hearing, because this is only a proposal, it's not the end-all, be-all. Oh, and by the way, Bronxites, we're not talking fare increases in this hearing. We're talking about redesigning the bus routes. So don't come in and say, you know, let's keep it germane to the topic. Please, let us know how we can service you on bus routes with this design plan. I'm happy, I'm ecstatic, but more importantly, my colleagues will share my sentiments in that this is the way that trust is built. And too many residents have lost trust in government and in different agencies. And as we continue to develop, hopefully DOE, DOT, other agencies will take into account that just because we did things in the past doesn't necessarily mean that it will continue to work as we build for a bigger and better Bronx in the future. So thank you all, and I'll give you back the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you, Borough President. Now I'd like to introduce Councilmember Vanessa Gibson.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's an honor and a privilege to be here. I am Councilmember Vanessa Gibson. I represent District 16 here in the Boogie Down Bronx, and I am the Democratic nominee for Bronx Borough President. I want to thank the leadership of the MTA and the New York City Transit, Tri-State Transportation Campaign, Riders Alliance, all of our transportation advocates, my colleagues in government who are all here for this very important press conference. I want to acknowledge the great work of our Bronx Borough President, Ruben Diaz Jr. It was under Ruben's leadership in late 2019 when we had all of those meetings with the leadership of New York City Transit. Elected officials joined together to identify how we can find creative and innovative ways to redesign what our bus service looked like. And I remember those conversations. I remember a lot of inquiries. I met with New York City Transit myself. We were very concerned about the BX1 and the BX2, the BX11 and the BX13 in Highbridge, the BX18 in Morris Heights. A lot of residents here along the Grand Concourse expressed concern about the BXM4, the express bus that takes a lot of our residents to Manhattan for work. And so we understood that this was a proposal at the time. And within that time frame, we talked about bus stop gapping. We talked about increasing dedicated bus lanes. We were able to transform Edward L. Grant Highway with Commissioner Navarro Lopez and DOT last year and create a dedicated bus lane that goes across the Washington Bridge into northern Manhattan, because we realize that for us in the Bronx, bus service can be improved, it can be more efficient and more effective for all riders here in the Bronx. And so a year and a half later, while we faced COVID-19 and we had to put this proposal on pause, I'm really grateful that we are reconvening and having hearings so that residents of the Bronx can come together and express their concerns. The meeting in which we heard a lot about the BX34 was right here at the Bronx Museum of the Arts. And there were residents that came from Co-op City, from Soundview, from the East Bronx, because we knew that we had to improve east-west corridors and not necessarily northwest. And so this area of our district has a lot of transit. We have the subway service, the number 4 line, we have the B and D line along the Grand Concourse, but we know we need to increase bus service. In order for commuters to get on our buses, we need to make it accessible and convenient and affordable. So I'm grateful that there are no fare increases that are in this proposal. But we need Bronxites to come out on November 9th to express your concerns about how we can improve our bus service. This is a huge part of our transportation hub. It's an economic engine. It is what drives this city and this borough, and it is what allows us to get to and from various parts of our borough and the city of New York. And so I'm grateful to the MTA. I'm grateful to the New York City Transit. I'm grateful to all of my colleagues in government that recognize that by us working together, we can improve bus service. This is about the future. This is about expanding opportunities like Metro North. This is about making sure that mass transit is accessible to everyone. And I'm particularly pleased that many of our subway stations, like Parkchester, like 170, like 149, are going to get elevators. ADA compliance is so important. My project at 170 in Jerome is almost done, $39 million, and we are getting 3 elevators at 170 in Jerome. And I see it every day, and I am so proud. I get excited about elevators because I realize for people with disabilities and our older adults, they need to get around. And so this is something that is long overdue. So I commend each and every one of you to all of our partners at the MTA, at City Transit, at Tri-State, at Transportation Alternatives, every advocacy group. Thank you for being powerful voices in this conversation so that at the end of the day, we can improve bus service for every resident and every family here in the Bronx. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Council Member. Now we'd like to hear from Assemblymember Kenny Burgos.
Good morning.
Thank you. When we talk about transit in New York City and in the Bronx, I often share the story of my commute in high school. Living in Soundview and going to high school in Bedford Park is an hour-and-a-half commute by bus. It's an hour-and-a-half by bus and train. And it always frustrated me to think, why does it take so long for me to commute in my own borough? Why can't I get to Midtown Manhattan from Soundview much faster than within our own borough of the Bronx? And I want to really thank Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. for taking that fight and saying we need to fix the buses in this borough. We need to make it so that Bronxites can commute throughout this city, throughout their borough, visit loved ones, go to health appointments, go to school without the impediment of an hour-and-a-half commute. And then when we had this Bronx Bus Redesign Network, as he alluded to, we had the plan roll out and everything wasn't perfect. But what I thank New York City Transit, MTA, and DOT is that they listened. We know very well that numbers and data can be helpful in planning, but that's not always the most accurate thing you can do. There's nothing more accurate than community input, because no one knows these streets and these neighborhoods better than the people that live in them. The data is only one picture. So when we had this plan roll out, it wasn't perfect. We spoke and they fixed it. And that is saying a lot, and I applaud them and I thank them for their partnership. That's how we're gonna have the Bronx be an entirely new borough. That's how the buses are going to work so much better for these people in this neighborhood. So I thank them all. I thank you for having me here today, and I'm looking forward to a much more prosperous Bronx bus redesign. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember. Now we'd like to hear from Assemblymember Michael Benedetto.
Clean up.
What a beautiful day here, huh? A friend of mine calls this a Simpson sky with the beautiful clouds and the bright blue, and it's shining on the Bronx. This is beautiful. You know, there's a large swath of my district that is challenged transportation-wise. You need buses to get to the trains. Throgs Neck, Co-op City, and the bus redesign plan came out, and they weren't too enamored with it, okay? But in a perfect example of government actually working, the people at Transit listened to us. Underneath the leadership of our borough president, we all came together and we expressed what we thought was wrong, and the MTA listened. I mean,
Crazy concept.
people, I mean, they're coming by in their cars and they're yelling at us. They don't know what's going on. They just figure government must be bad. It's not. It actually worked for the people. And the people in Throgs Neck, the people in Co-op City are very happy with what they have. And so I have to thank all the MTA people who are so involved. I mean, one day I'm out at a golf tournament. I really am. A golf tournament, and I stopped over my lunch because I had to make a call into the MTA, and they were there listening to me. And they listened to me for a half an hour. That's wonderful. That really is wonderful. This is a happy day. The Bronx should be very happy with the new Bronx redesign bus plan that's coming out. We're happy about the ferry coming to Ferry Point Park. We're happy about the Metro North trains and stations that are coming. And there's something out there called the Tri-Borough Plan that we really should look at too, okay? A good day, only good things are happening in the Bronx. Metro North was your thing, babe, okay? Maybe the Tri-Borough Plan can be your thing. God bless us all. Thank you for everybody for listening. Be good.
All right, babe.
Thank you, Assemblymember. I do have one question for you. On that call, I was on the other line. You were a little upset. Was it because of the way you were hitting the ball or because of the plan?
I'm always upset about that.
Okay, thank you. Before we have one more speaker, I'd like to just recognize our partners in delivering great bus service, New York City DOT and Nevada Lopez, which is here with us today. Our final speaker here today is Miss Lynette Wright from Co-op City.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So I think that this is definitely a testament for us for what happens when you have collective parties that come together. So not just having people who are making decisions for you, but the fact that people came out, they made their voices heard. You had the MTA that was listening, you had all of our government officials that was listening, and we came collectively to work together on something that was accessible for all within this design. I just want to be able to thank everyone, again, the MTA, for keeping an open ear about the fact that when you draw something, it looks completely different from how that drawing and how those ideas impact everyday people who are impacted by it. To all of our government officials who came forward, Bronx Borough President, to the Assemblyman Benedetto, all of our supports that we've had throughout the several months that we went through. Also to our board of directors who came and actually supported us, to all of the 25 people who are on the ad hoc committee who worked every day through either text message, through writing, through going almost door to door, trying to get surveys to people, to the people who filled it out. Every person is a part of that at why there is change within this. And I think that that's definitely a call to action for many of us advocates and just people who take the bus in general, or our citizens here who are here. is that it is one thing to be able to speak in your living room about something and be upset about something, but they cannot hear that. Obviously, through this, we've talked, they're listening to you. You've heard that several times through several speakers, so make your voices heard if you want to implement change. Again, thank you to everybody that's on here. Please go on the website again and voice what you think of the redesign, and definitely come out to vote. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Len, and thank you to all the speakers and elected officials here today. I guess now we'll open it up to any questions.
Craig, is it still 400 stops being removed as the plan 2 years ago?
So the current plan does have a reduction of 18% of the number of stops. I think it is in the neighborhood of 400. Okay. But again, that's the plan as proposed. We're going to come out, we're going to listen to what our customers are telling us, and we'll refine as we see.
And just to be clear, 3 new routes, BXM5.
Two new routes.
BXM5, BX25, and M125, which one was cut from 2 years ago? BXM5.
Can you say it again, Jessica?
Yes.
BX25 and M125.
M125, right.
And then one more. Bus speeds in the Bronx are down slightly from before the pandemic after going up last year. Can you explain what work you guys are doing with DOT specifically to speed up buses? And DOT
Sure.
can answer this question as well.
Sure. So what I would say is, yes, as we've seen, we're coming out of the pandemic, traffic has increased. Bus speeds are back to pre-pandemic levels throughout the city. But what I would say is that what we need to do, and we've come out with a joint statement just a few weeks ago, is put in well-enforced bus lanes, busways, camera enforced both on the streets and on board our buses. Again, it's all about giving our bus customers the priority that they need to move across, our city streets. For any specific, I don't know, Navarro, if you want to add anything.
Sure. Thank you very much. We're currently in the process of installing a dedicated bus lane on Story Avenue in the Soundview section of the Bronx. And in the West Bronx, not too far away from here, we're installing a dedicated bus lane on University Avenue. So those are going to be 2 important projects which will help speed up buses for Bronxites. And then I'm hoping that 2022 will be a very exciting year as we bring several more dedicated bus lane projects online in the Bronx, especially to address the council member's point about east-west connections. Those are very important, and we're going to be looking at a couple of routes in the Bronx.
Yeah. Hey, Craig, how you doing?
Hi, Kevin.
I wanted to kind of get just some quick clarification. Do you have a budget for this redesign and a rough timeline when the routes will be in place, the new routes?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're not looking at it in terms of budget. We're really looking at it in terms of what can we do to improve bus service in the Bronx. So we came forth, I think like we just said, we added 2 new routes to the Bronx. I think we went from 46 routes to 48 routes. We straightened out those routes, many of the routes in the Bronx, so that we could get to where we want to go faster. And we're also increasing frequencies on many of those high ridership routes. And I think you'll see that on the microsite.
But I guess when will the changes start to take effect, or when do you hope them to take effect?
So summer of 22 is when we're planning implementation.
Okay, and then my other question, a little bit bigger picture with the buses. Before the pandemic, all these redesigns kind of ran along at the same time. Why is that not happening now? Why do some boroughs have to wait until 2026 to see any of these changes come?
No, so just to be clear, they are happening now. So our first implementation post-pandemic is the Bronx, because we've had the most work there, but we've also restarted in the Queens and in Brooklyn, and then we'll be moving on to Manhattan and the other boroughs.
And then one last question, when can we see all-door boarding on the buses? I mean, that would help bring a lot of riders back, or at least make their ride easier. Sure. It's a very simple step. I know MTA is looking at enforcement and that kind of stuff, but it could just be a very simple way to make a bus ride easier for a lot of people.
So we're committed to all-door boarding with the full implementation of Omni, but we know that our customers want us to speed that up, and we recognize that we need to do everything we can to speed up our bus system. So we just came out with a goal in 2022 of no less than 10 routes, which we're going to test all-door boarding on. It's going to be a mix of different routes. Some of them have wider stop spacing, shorter stop spacing. Some routes have more coins on bus, less coins on bus. A lot of it has to do with, customers still have to pay with coins on bus, and to what extent all-door boarding will speed up those routes when we're still having customers that need to use the front door. But we're still committed to all-door boarding.
Don't get mad if the Bronx leadership is more efficient than other boroughs' leadership.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Embarrassing.